I've been using Google Maps as my primary navigation app 99% of the time over my nearly 9 years of rideshare driving. It's the best navigation app in my opinion, but there are issues. Let's discuss. Alright, first of all, when I'm driving for Uber, I like to use the Uber internal navigation in tandem with Google Maps. I just like having a couple redundancies when I'm driving. Navigation is so important. There's times where there's road closures that have been found on Google Maps and not on Uber navigation, and vice versa. There's times where it's been found on Uber navigation and not on Google Maps. And I choose Google Maps as my primary navigation app because it's reliable and flexible. You can also do 3 things really efficiently. You can look at the route overview, you can view and select other routes, and you can also exit navigation efficiently. Again, I have been using Google Maps as my primary navigation app for nearly a decade now while driving rideshare. It is the best one in my opinion, but there are issues. It's not perfect. Let's discuss those issues. Now, I'll preface by saying I do see some of these issues while using Google Maps just in my personal life, not interacting with the Uber driver app, but I think a lot of these issues might be in interaction with the Uber driver app. And the biggest issue that I have found is that when navigating on Google Maps, if you don't take the recommended route that Google is recommending, if you like take a different turn or something, there are times where the address, the destination address, can completely switch to an address that's miles away. Here's an example where I didn't take the recommended route by Google Maps, and then it flipped the address to the other side of the highway, about a quarter mile away from the actual address. I've had this happen a few times, and most of the time I have realized it when it did happen because I'll go back and forth between the Uber Nav and Google Maps. So I am aware of this issue, and usually I'll just finish navigation by going back to the Uber driver app and just exit Google Maps altogether. I don't know why this happens within Google Maps, but it is an issue that needs to be fixed. Alright, the next issue, and this is pretty standard across all navigation apps, is the map itself being incorrect. There are times where I'll see closures for months, and those won't be on Google Maps. And I know that Google Maps has that option where users can tell Google Maps if there's road closures or not, but I feel like this should be more intuitive by the app. If the app sees that enough drivers are avoiding a certain intersection and not going through, it should assume that there's possibly a closure there. Or if Google Maps thinks that there's actually a closure there and it isn't, and enough cars are going through that closure, it should be able to intuitively interpret that that closure does not exist. And again, this can happen on Uber navigation as well, and that's why I use both Uber navigation and Google Maps in tandem to have multiple redundancies when using navigation. Alright, the next issue, and this is an issue that Uber may need to fix, the destination address, the actual number, will sometimes differ from Google Maps to the Uber navigation. For example, here you can see that Google Maps lists this address as 355 14th Avenue South, and then Uber lists the address as 351 14th Avenue South. I have no idea why this happens, but that's why I always go back to the Uber nav as I'm approaching a destination so I see what that actual address is. And also piggybacking on that issue, sometimes Google Maps will just list the latitude and longitude coordinates of an address. This is a minor annoyance. I don't know why it just can't list the address, but again, I always switch back to the Uber navigation to see what the address is when I'm approaching a destination. Now we'll look at some screenshots of some other issues. Alright, the next issue, sometimes you'll see this type of navigation when approaching a destination, and if you're not aware, if you're not looking at the route overview, sometimes you can get confused. Here you can see the navigation is trying to take me a total roundabout way when all I really need to do is take a left. There will also be times where Google Maps doesn't auto-adjust routes quickly. You can see I'm headed in the opposite direction of this route and Google Maps still hasn't auto-adjusted. I've gone a few hundred feet and it still hasn't auto-adjusted. Also, there will be times where the map just disappears. Again, you're shown the route, but you're not shown any landmarks, you're not shown any streets nearby. It's really weird. And lastly, there will be times where you're interacting with the map, you're trying to select a different route, and instead of selecting that different route, it thinks that you're trying to add a stop. This is very annoying, especially when you're in the middle of navigation. Again, those are the main issues that I've noticed with Google Maps. Have all of you noticed these as well? Are there other issues that I didn't list? Leave a comment below and let us know. Navigation is very important when driving rideshare. That's why I use redundancies. I use Google Maps and Uber navigation when driving, so I have multiple options. Thanks again for watching and drive safe. Thanks.